Hey guys, it's Erica Galinas with the Mike McCady Group at Century 21 Affiliated. I am here for our weekly market update, and this week we are going to talk about Munster. We've talked about Munster before. It's kind of a unique town in the Lake County area. There was a lot of construction in the 50s and 60s. Lots of custom homes built there, so we don't have so much, the old Victorians and the old farmhouses like in Crown Point or Lowell. We don't have a lot of the new construction like in St. John or Dyer, so it's kind of a unique area. It's held on to its value pretty well throughout the past decades, mostly due to a really excellent school system, but also because it is so close to downtown Chicago, and all the the highways are right there, and it's got a cute little commercial area and stuff like that. So Munster, what we have, we're going to go through the summer numbers since we are catching up. June, July, August, and we will pull in September. There's some interesting numbers in there. In June in Munster, 34 units of real estate sold for an average of $304,000, almost $305,000. Average days on market, 50 days. Sales to list price percentage, so how much of the list price you end up closing for, 96.97%. So that's for June of this year. In July, 46 houses sold, and that always includes condos to, mansions, everything in between. Average sales price, $292,855. Average days on market, only 35 days though. Sales to list price, 97.54%. So we have a little bit less in terms of the average. Days on market got cut by almost 2 weeks, and that's kind of, I think, indicative of just the busier summer market in July. There's lots of people who are ready to move. August, 42 units of real estate sold for an average sales price of $289,883. So that average sales price has gone down a little bit. 63 days on market, so that jumped back up to even longer than June. Over 2 months, these houses are on the market. Sales to list price, 98.11%. And then in September, 43 units sold, so about the same as August, for an average sales price of $337,137. So a big jump in sales prices there. Average days on market, 47 days, so kind of hovering around that same, 2 months, month and a half kind of number. And the sales to list price is 96.94%. So you can see, so July we were at 304, June we were at 304, July we were at 292, August we're at 289, and then all of a sudden in September we jumped up to 337,000. I looked into that a little bit because that's a $50,000 jump. In Munster for the month of September, there were five sales that were more than $500,000. One was like at 580 all the way up to, I think, 9 something. So there were a lot more of those high-end listings that sold in the month of September that pulled the average up. The other thing is that there were less condo sales in September. So Munster actually has a pretty thriving condo community. There's ones, up on Martha Street and ones in different areas. A lot of those condos are selling for about $150,000. They're, 1,200 square feet, 2-bedroom condos, mostly built in the 70s and 80s. So a lot of them are a little dated. So that 150 average was more prominent in June, July, August than it was in September. So between those big, almost $1 million homes that were sold, and then the, less condos sold in that 150 area, dragged that average up about $50,000. One thing that is different with Munster versus St. John versus Dyer, Cherville, the other communities we talk about, is that their averages are lower and their days on market are a little bit longer. That doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with the Munster real estate market. Like I said, it's always been, one of the best in our area. The schools are just excellent. What it is mostly is that a lot of people, 60s, 70s, into the 50s, although most of those houses have turned over already, they had those custom built, and a lot of them are just beautiful homes. These are old neighborhoods with big growth trees. So the neighborhood themselves are beautiful. The houses are solid, but they're dated. People had these homes built in, when they were 40 in 1968 or whatever it is. And here we are now. Those people built those homes to last, stayed in them until basically the end of their lives. So a lot of times these houses, the last times they were updated are in the 80s and 90s. So when we have newer housing stock like we do in Dyer, like we do in St. John, or more updated stuff like we do in Crown Point, they're obviously going to be worth more, because any buyer, even, the one that doesn't want, all gray walls and all white trim, is still going to want some kind of upgrades. I mean, some of these houses still have orange orange countertops or, some, unfortunate stonework that was really cool. Not really what people want in their houses today. So a lot of these houses are being sold to buyers who are going to be making cosmetic repairs, and they're pulling that into the price. So we're seeing, these averages a little bit lower than we see in surrounding communities. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with Munster. It just means that a lot of the housing stock there is kind of dated. As these houses change hands over the next, 5 years, 8 years, and then start selling again, we will more than likely see those prices go up, in that long-term timeline. Interesting thing about Munster that again is different from St. John, Dyer, Schererville is that there's almost no new construction, only because there's no land left in Munster to really build anything on. There are 101 active listings, active and pending listings. So things that are currently for sale or are under contract with the buyer but haven't closed yet. 101 actives. New construction in terms of those numbers only make up a handful. Literally 5 or 6 of that number is new construction. Basically, they're selling the last of those lots in the West Lakes, which is just west of Calumet Avenue. There's still some lots left that, kind of seated in between the other houses. They're selling off those lots. They're building homes. I mean, they're in the $600,000 and $700,000 range, some of them depending on what's being built, but that's really the only new construction we have going on in town. For the pending and the contingents, so not the active ones, because obviously we don't know when they're going to sell, but for the pending and contingents, the average days on market is 39 days. Again, a little bit longer than we see in some surrounding communities. Doesn't, again, mean there's anything wrong. The market is just a little bit slower, and again, I think it's because if you have the kind of buyer, probably coming in from Illinois, that are looking to spend, a $350 or something like that, they have a better chance to go to a new construction in Dyer or in St. John and get, this brand new house or this house that was built in the past 5 or 6 years versus going into Munster, spending a little less, but still just having to do the work. I myself like the Munster houses a little bit better. I think they have tons more character. Like I said, these neighborhoods, they're nice, low traffic neighborhoods with beautiful trees that have been growing for like 150 years. But again, it's not for everybody. And buyers, if they are buying at the top of their price range, there's not necessarily going to be any money left over to, redo a kitchen and 3 bathrooms and, build a deck or whatever it is that some of these houses are looking for. So again, 39 days on market is higher than average of the towns around it, but I think that is why that there's equally as attractive or more attractive housing available in St. John and Dyer at very similar prices. And a lot of the buyers, particularly ones that are first-time buyers entering the market for the first time, are looking for that kind of house. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with Munster. I think it'll be fine. We just kind of have to churn out these unupdated houses. The only other thing that I wanted to mention about Munster, they are building, I don't know if you've seen on Calumet, I mean, they've built a ton of commercial and stuff like that, but they're building these Centennial Village condos. So I'm finally seeing these listings on the MLS for these condos. It's kind of billing itself as like a lifestyle condominium. So you can have your condo, I think those 5 stories high, whatever this building is, but the bottom floor is commercial. There's a gym inside, there's probably a hair salon, there's all these different kinds of things, kind of these self-contained communities that they are trying to developing, but trying to sell to a certain kind of buyer. It's actually something very unusual for our area. Obviously, things like that exist all over the city and western suburbs, Chicago and stuff. Very unique for our Lake County area. So I'm going to keep an eye on these because it's a cool idea. You take your elevator up to your house, wake up in the morning, go downstairs, there's a Starbucks, run to the gym, you don't have to leave your house for days potentially. Again, not for everybody, but something new that's being tried in our area, and I'm interested to see how they're selling. Just so you know, the average base model. So this includes, the standard builder upgrades, not necessarily the fancy stuff. It's a little hard to tell what they're offering as a base versus fancy. Builders kind of keep that a little close to the vest. They are listing a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in this building at $281,340. So the square footage on that, I think it's 1,100 square feet, thereabouts, depending on the floor plan. And they are building, they said they had 10 different floor plans available, and they're kind of filling up this building. So at $281,340 at a base price, it's been my experience with buyers that these are probably going to end up closing between 310 and 340,000. Again, assuming they all sell in the way that they're planning on it. So we're going to keep our eye on these over the next couple months. Like I said, this is a very unique property that they're building in Lake County, and I'm anxious to see how quickly they're going to sell, how much they're going to sell for, those kinds of things. Maybe this is a new move for our market, not just in Munster, but we may, if this is a big success, builders are going to pay attention, and we may see these popping up in different, more metropolitan areas, maybe parts of Crown Point. Maybe we'll see it as St. John continues to build up. We may see this over the next decade or so, depending on how well these sell. So I will keep an eye on them for you. If you are a Munster seller, and you think that you may have this updating issue that we talked about earlier, give me a call. I'm happy to stop by and we kind of go through things, because there's updates you can do and you can spend $1 million, but there's also little stuff you can do that you can spend like $200. So we can kind of sit down and go through some different things that you can do to maximize the value on the market, because again, there is a whole buyer pool that is attracted to this type of home. They are out there. We can stop them from going to Dyer and St. John easily, I'm pretty sure. Give me a call, text me, 219-765-2062. Obviously, if you're interested in moving to Munster, these condos or some of the new construction or some of these fabulous old mid-century homes that they have here and there, again, call me, text me, 219-765-2062. We can figure out, what works best for you, particularly if you are in a good price range. But maybe not the 400,000 they're looking for in St. John. Munster might be a really good spot for you. You can email me anytime at hsbyerica. That stands for Home Sales by Erica at gmail.com. Comment below. Send me a private message. I check all those things all the time and certainly would be happy to help. So I will see you guys next week. We are going to talk about Lowell. So kind of a farm community, new construction / Victorians. The market down here is kind of interesting. So I'm excited to share that with you. I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much.